All right, there we go. Friday, London Open session silver bullet. As we are, and quick recap of what happened so far since yesterday. And yesterday I was mentioning the sales liquidity here and the BC, the inefficiency below price on ES. And that was prompting that I favor that as an outcome potentially to the downside. And price did gravitate towards that particular level overnight. Yeah, during Asia, as always, recently Asia delivered that run, and here we are right now, going into the London Open session. So let's now do the business here. 50-minute chart. I will clear this sell side, this sell side. And I want to add buy sell liquidity here. Look how clean and smooth this is. It's perfect, and this is perfect, and this is perfect. Like enormous pool of buy sell liquidity resting up here and here on ES. So this is interesting because we have two very smooth pools of buy sell liquidity, while we technically already cleared out the sell side here. I mean, cleared out is maybe said too much because that was just a shallow run, but nonetheless a run. I would prefer to see a more deeper run below it and maybe touch to this inefficiency, but I guess it is what it is, and we are left with insanely clean buy side liquidity going forward for ES, and that definitely caught my attention. Yeah, very smooth buy side all together here, and the old highs very smooth also, while taking sell side. We did left some measure of strategic loss here as a part of this consolidation. Something to be aware of, I suppose. But larger draw, in my opinion, should be to the upside. Small little daily volume imbalance in here for Nasdaq, almost tapped into that, not quite. Relatively low sell side attacked and cleared out here. Ever since we do have a little bit of retracement. Relatively highs also on Nasdaq, not as smooth as on ES, but still pretty damn smooth after all. This inefficiency looks like a potential draw near term. Yeah, but because because ES is way cleaner, I would prefer to watch ES though. Let's clear some annotations here. By the way, the target that I was looking for yesterday got hit just after I got stopped out on that entry. Alright, so that's the 50-minute inefficiency. The first fair value gap above equilibrium, which is technically a premium. Technically a premium. Alright, so let's see. Let's see what we got for this session though. Um, I do favor the radical highs, the buy side. Potentially. But at the same time, I would or at the same time, I'm aware that there is some bit of an unfinished business on the downside on ES. Meaning this inefficiency here, we could still technically draw down into it. But look at the lows. Relative lows may jagged, lower low, lower low, lower low, 3-4 times, and we have insanely smooth relative highs buy side. Nasdaq took relative lows here too. Some measure of retracement higher. But yeah, it also has a bit of business left there on the downside. All right, 3 a.m. started just now. Mm. Hello, don't you, Christian? Welcome, welcome. Hmm. So yeah, I mean, I do have a mixed feeling when it comes to random buy sell liquidity. right away. I cannot see a very solid, easy, obvious setup right off the gate. But yeah, these relatively lows and a potential run to that lower, basically sticking with the bearish kind of order flow overall. It seems, or would seem. Yeah, I mean, it seems more reasonable though, as an expectation right now. How does it look like on MNQ? Similar situation. Overtook those inefficiencies. We have technically like a breaker here. Some pool of relatively close there. Yeah, but I'm also noticing that we made a little bit of a turn here, yes, but it was rather sloppy. It was rather without much of a real displacement behind it. It was just a little a little pop higher to some short-term premium, and that's it basically. and we are trading off of a premium ray, so yeah, expecting some lower prices here wouldn't be too crazy, I would say. All right, so we inverse this BC and this little BC too. All right, so now the key point, key idea is, do we make a higher high here, or do we fail to take out this high on both ES and Nasdaq? Yeah, I guess observation mode is the way to go in here right now. Nothing terribly obvious, but it might become. So right now I'm watching the price went off of those radical lows, consolidation kinda. It reached up into a premium array in form of a hourly or 15-minute bearish fair value gap. And after trading up into it, price immediately rejected and reacted lower, taking a short-term low and inversing those two inefficiencies that were busies. Now we went below them on a closing basis, and now we are trading back into them as a potential inversion fair value gap that could be bearish and or could send the price lower within that if it's actually bearish, right? Continuously here. Is it? I don't necessarily know for sure at the moment, but if it were, this would be like a point where this could actually fail and start delivering some lower prices, technically. Practically, we'll see what we get. All right, both ES and Nasdaq going pretty deep. And showing no premium sensitivity at both potential inversion for value gaps. It just kept on going higher, which means it's likely to take out this high right here. All right, so the body's respecting the high of this inversion, so that's quite interesting. And so far we are showing a failure swing to take out this high. Interesting little note. Nasdaq made a higher high on the body. ES failed to make a higher high on the body. So that might be a measure of SMT divergence coming in gently. Hello, Mr. M. Zane. Well, I mean, pretty good. A little bit sleepy, but besides that, all fine. Yeah, no worries. I don't think you missed anything. I don't think you missed anything so far. What is my bias for today? Well, I mean, I like those radical highs as they are very, very smooth overall. I like those. But at the same time, I'm willing to allow for a little bit of a downside still towards this inefficiency, which makes my bias neutral to slightly bullish. But if we get a really nice obvious price action that wants to go higher, then the buy sell liquidity is just way too smooth. But that might be something for later time. We'll see though. Yeah, I mean, I that's the thing, right? But technically, this is very beautiful drawn liquidity on the upside and a huge pool of buy side liquidity. Practically, it if it wants to fail, it could do it around here potentially. Also, I don't see a very obvious setup that could take us up into those radical highs right away too at the moment, which makes me a little bit more suspicious. Yeah, I mean, at the sure, we can talk. Unless on the 5-minute chart, based on what I see on this time frame only, I do favor higher. It's in line with the buy sell liquidity, that's very smooth. But the next kind of like draw on the upside or objective on the upside, the closest one to the price would be this bearish fair value gap on the 5-minute, which is inside of that 15-minute bearish fair value gap. That's larger slightly. The 5-minute inefficiency is here, and that's kind of where it's likely going to draw to, but it's already very close to it, right? So if it's bullish, if it's really bullish, it would or should have no problems, no issues going right on through this bearish fair value gap CB and use it as a potential inversion. Right, so both ES and Nasdaq are making a higher high so far for the session, but both are making it in a very sloppy way on the 1-minute chart, to say the least. There was a small little bullish inversion for value gap on the 5-minute that price utilized basically and reached up into this 5-minute inefficiency. No, my friend, I'm actually from Poland, Europe, but I will take it as a compliment. I'm trying. Nonetheless, nonetheless, we are at the 5-minute bearish for value gap here. And that's a premium array in regards to the current range that we are in. Which, if it's really strong, if it's really bullish continuously, it should have no issues with trading through that, right? Technically. Pakistan, alright. Nice to meet you, Mr. M. Zain. I hope you are doing well. It's crazy that I'm meeting people all around the world in my YouTube chat. Just like that. All right, so now it's actually kind of interesting because we trade into that premium array. We engineered relative equal highs on both ES and Nasdaq. Nasdaq slightly cleaner highs. And now we are rejecting those and trading slightly lower. So if we could see a measure of displacement, that wouldn't be necessarily bullish, right? Near term. But it's hard to expect that. So we are at this moment or point in time and price where this is like a crossroad, right? It could go higher from where it is. It could go higher, but it also could go lower at the same time. And that makes it kind of difficult if you want to trade right now, but simple if you want to wait. Technically, wait for more information, right? But yeah. Well, Mr. M. Zain, that sounds like a nice love story here. But thanks, I appreciate that. There is a bearish suspension block over top of a bullish suspension block in here. Yeah, I mean, we can't even reach the consecutive encroachment of this, I mean, breach. We tapped into this with a week, but that's it, right? And the bodies are staying in the lower half so far. So it's a little bit suspect at the moment, but yeah. All right. So we are seeing some displacement to the downside now. Right, M and Q couldn't even reach up into this respective bearish fair value gap at all. It failed below it, and it's making a soft turn. Well. So this busy on 311. I'm watching that currently. So that's the busy that I'm thinking that it might want to draw down into near term. Was the biggest adversity obstacle you had you have had to overcome in your trading career? Well, I mean, there were some for sure, but the biggest that I can think of is probably like patience. Patience and controlling impulsiveness, and overall just focusing on the process instead of chasing profits, wins, or something like that. Like not taking personally if you lose, but also not being cocky if you win. These type of things had major influence on my trader's psyche. But yeah, um, sticking to one model also is something that helped me a lot for sure. Showing up every day, doing the logs, journaling, the experience, how I feel after certain situations, how I can deal with them. Yeah, probably like all of these combined. Um, but at the same time, this is still like work in the process, right? It's not like it's one and done, but it's still continuously work, continuous work on those things to maintain a proper mindset, a proper view, proper perspective on the marketplace. And yeah, well, it looks like it kind of wants to move, but at the same time, it's very slow and lethargic in the delivery. So it kind of is what it is. If it's like this and it stays like this, there is not much I can do about it. I feel like, unless we see a measure of displacement to the either upside or downside. I don't really mind which side, but yeah, them showing their hand would be important here. I would say right now it could literally go either way. I feel like, which is obviously somewhat problematic to engage. But let's see. Let's observe the 350 to 410 macro, and if nothing clears out the perspective, then probably that will be it, and I'll be back for the morning session. We'll see what we get there, but yeah. So I'm interested to see this 330 bearish inversion for value gap on ES. We tapped into it. I wonder if you can deliver a run into this BC, maybe below this low from 310. No, I actually missed it. I will need to re-listen it. I wasn't there. I didn't listen, so I only saw it was there after the fact. But yeah, was it good? So, some interesting topics were there. Well, I mean, it's hard to do anything with it at this moment. I feel like near-term relative equal highs. It's not respecting this as bearish inversion for value gap in the way I would like to see. This BC stays open so far, and we are just still making a slightly deeper stop likely, but still inside of this bearish fair value gap original function, and that makes it somewhat of a nothing burger of a session for me here. The only thing that I like in hindsight that was somewhat cool is this 3 a.m. bullish inversion for value gap that was used 2 times and repriced into this bearish for value gap here. That's a small little portion of the range, obviously, but that's the only thing that I like in hindsight about all of this business. Let's see, we cannot or we couldn't bypass this inversion for value gap, so we would need to turn around quickly here. Because we closed in the upper half of this inversion, if we can leave it, it should never breach the 50% of it again. All right, well, I'm hyped. I can't wait to actually catch up with it. I love these talks and question and answers. Awesome, awesome, awesome stuff by Mr. Michaelito. But yeah, Nasdaq is showing a nicer respect to this bearish inversion for value gap. It can't bypass the consecutive encroachment. The body stay in the lower half and it's leaving that. So Nasdaq looks potentially heavier here, and it could seek the respective 311 BC. Why this one? Because that's the only one the only one that resides inside this range, from this low to this high. It's a discount bullish for value gap in that regard. So if it took buy side liquidity, if it cannot bypass higher, it has this inversion for value gap here that it's working around relatively well, then the most logical and easiest next drawn liquidity would be obviously those relatively lows, but below them, this fair value gap. Not that it will go there necessarily, but that's something I would look for on a very, very near term small basis, like a micro scalp. But yeah, that's as far as I can go with it, I believe. And just use it as a study material, not necessarily trading advice. And yeah. All right. I think that's going to be it for me for this session. I will be back for the morning session, 10 to 11, and we'll see what we get about there. And yeah, small range session, this long open session, but that's fine. That's fine. All right, thanks for watching, guys, and kudos to you for staying with me this long. And see you later today or next week if you are starting the weekend early. So see you.